AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
Men's division. We'll see what the women can offer before the men's sprint semi-finals. Awang and company are back. The 3-kilometre individual pursuit qualification round for the women. Men's sprint semi-finals second race before we have the round of 16 in the sprints for the women and then the tempo race which will conclude the morning. In the afternoon, the sprint finals. We've got the brilliant elimination race for the men as well. Sprint finals are best of 3, so they could go up to 3 races, as you see on your programme there. With individual pursuit finals for the women, gold and bronze medal matches this afternoon. Victory ceremonies, medals, and a points race to conclude the afternoon for the men. That, of course, will be in the Omnium. 18 riders waiting to get underway in an event that will bookend our racing here in Jakarta on day 4. Well, the work started for many out in track centre. Hong Kong, China, with their sprinters ready to go. Jessica Lee, Sarah Lee. Meantime, the reigning Asian Games champion Eiya Hashimoto in conversation with Artyom Zakharov, two of the top endurance athletes at the moment in Asia. What can Indonesia do? Can they surprise? That's Nandra Eko Wahyudi, who'll be racing as one of those endurance athletes to take on the 40 laps to 10 kilometres of the scratch race to start up the programme for the day. It's all smiles now. Of course, it's a little easier when you're the defending champion. He has the medal in the bag from 4 years ago and is one of the favourites to repeat the feat at just 24 years of age. Current Asian champion. And this is the field that he will be up against. Hashimoto up against the likes of Leung Ching-wing of Hong Kong, China. Yusuf Mirza there for United Arab Emirates is one of the top exponents of endurance racing on the whole continent. Lao Songlan of Macau. Li Wenchao rides for Chinese Taipei. Mohammed Ganjkhanlu, who we saw riding on the road. Sain Baya rides for Mongolia. There is the reigning champion Hashimoto. Zakharov, who yesterday was on the podium in the individual pursuit, taking a bronze medal. Look out for the veteran Muradjan Khalmuratov, 36 now, racing up against the rider with 1 on his back, Yaikhaldin Khalifa, racing for Bahrain. Shindongi and Tarek Al-Moaki make up the 18 riders contesting the 4-event Omnium at the Asian Games. It's the first time we've had a 4-event Omnium at the Asian Games. This is a particular discipline that changed last year, I should say last Olympic cycle, just after the Olympic Games, so 2 years ago now. Down from 6 events to 4. The closest thing we have to a stage race on the track, although it's now a 1-day event, rules out the possibility of a bad night's sleep and a poor second day. And the timed events have gone as well. No pursuiting anymore, no 500-metre time trial. It's a very different event. Essentially 4 very similar races, 4 bunch races, providing spectacular racing, but perhaps not rewarding the all-rounder as much as they used to do. And the riders can only compete against what is in front of them, and that's what they'll do here. There's Yusuf Mirza, one of the favourites. Took silver at the Asian Championships. Chinese rider is Zhang Zihui. He wears the red. And riding for India, Manjit Singh, who we've already seen in the pursuiting event. Leung Ching-wing, 24 now, bronze in the road race in Incheon, turned his attention to the track this Asiad, and he took silver in the team pursuit 2 days ago. Eiya Hashimoto is the man whose everybody's eyes will be on. Japan already have their first gold on the track now at these Asian Games. They picked up the women's Omnium yesterday. Mirza up against Zakharov. 26, the only Asian athlete to have taken a top 10 in an Omnium at Olympic Games. 10th in Rio 2016. Never count out the Iranian athletes though. Ganjkhanlu riding for a nation with a strong cycling pedigree. In the meantime, there are calm words of encouragement in the ear of Zhang Jihui. Athlete representing Chinese Taipei, Li Wenchao. They picked up a silver in the women's Omnium yesterday. Manjeet Singh at the start of a new journey for Indian track cycling. Lao Longsan represents Macau, China. And you can just hear the instructions being given to the riders from the commissar. Good to see Singapore putting an athlete in here. That's Calvin Sim. The veteran Khalmuratov, been there, done that. He's been champion of his nation and the continent in different disciplines. So the scratch race is a bunch race from start to finish. It's a race that will begin once they come back round the track and the gun goes. And from that moment, there'll be 10 kilometres, 40 laps. But it's very simple, this. First rider across the line wins. If you take a lap, you are essentially a lap ahead. No points involved. And the winner will take 40 points and the lead in the Omnium. And of course, different riders will want to win this in different ways. There'll be riders who are stronger in the sprint, riders who are good time trialists, who think they can get out and attack. It doesn't matter how strong you are, you need to have the right moment where there's enough hesitation behind for people not to chase you. Remember, you don't necessarily have to win this event or any of the others to win the Omnium. It's about being consistent throughout the day and continuing to pick up points. You have 40 points for the win, 38 for coming in second place, and so on and so on. And there are 18 riders here. Lots of different grades of points to be shared out between this. Then the tempo race before we have the break at lunchtime. Elimination in the afternoon. And the points race will see points gained in that race added to the total that everybody takes into it. Should be simple, shouldn't it? We'll see how it goes on as the day progresses. 36 laps remain here in the scratch race. Korean rider Shin Dong-in missed out on the medal when I'm sure he thought that he was on for gold in the team pursuit. Team had a crash. But he's no stranger to victory podia. Former Asian Madison champion. He's a Korean who claimed silver last time in the Omnium at the Asian Games when they hosted on that outdoor track in Incheon. Cho Ho-sung was the man up on the second step of the podium. Is Ganjkhanlu for Iran. And the group is strong out, but we're certainly not at full pelt here. Pace is just starting to increase, and it's Hashimoto, the champion's first turn at the front. The Japanese rider peels up to the top of the track. The man from Gifu in the Japanese islands. And you can just tell when the pace slows down, the riders bunch together, some move up on the track. And then it's up to somebody else to try and put it on. It's a cagey affair. Rider from Macau, Lao, who's put in a couple of digs at the front, but nothing too strenuous. Remember, as well as wanting to get the best place possible here, riders also have to think about the other events in the day. And that means giving enough to be good enough, whilst at the same time, if possible, trying to conserve some energy. Now, Indonesia on the attack. And listen to this. Wahyudi being chased straight away by Chinese Taipei. This is a good dig. China in the chase with Zhong. And there's a whole peloton about half a lap behind. A lot of favourites. Maybe we'll let a few of the lesser favourites do the chasing, but if the group gets too big, they will surely have to work to bring this back. They will not want somebody going a lap up. And you can see that Chinese Taipei are chasing. This is a really good dig from the Indonesian. Nandra Eko Wahyudi. Chase is on behind. Most of the favourites in this group. Wahyudi still only about half a lap up. And the reaction from behind, I think, might do for him. They've let him hang out there, let him struggle, and a lot of the favourites haven't wasted too much energy chasing him. They've left it to some of the other riders down there as Yusuf Mirza, though, starts to make a move. This might activate some of the bigger names to get in shape behind. Wahyudi only about a quarter of a lap ahead. 25 remain. And I think he's sitting up here. There we go. He's going to be caught. Nothing left in the tank yet. If there is, he doesn't want to burn it out. Now, does another attack go? Kalmuratov gives it a try. 36 years of age. Races track and road. His current team is based on the island of Taiwan. Races for the RTS team on the UCA Asia Tour. Has won a stage race on the road, actually. Won the Tour of China 7 years ago. He's been an Asian road and time trial champion. Multiple national road and time trial champion as well. Kalmuratov racing for Uzbekistan. A third of a lap in front. And Shkhanlu of Iran in the chase. Almost halfway through this scratch race. Lau of Macau being very active. Half a lap on the field, about a quarter on that chase group. Chinese Taipei and Li also extremely active today. Well, Kalmuratov is a dangerous customer. A lot of the favourites gambling on not chasing this man. He still has quite an effort to make up if he's to take a lap. What many of the favourites will be worried about is the fact that there are four in the chase. If they get together and they take a lap together, that suddenly takes out the 5 top positions in the race. And if you finish 6th, you're taking a lot less points than if you'd finished 2nd. I think one man going up the field and winning this scratch race wouldn't be a worry to too many in the big group of favourites, because that only takes the maximum 40 points out. The rest of them are up for grabs, 38 for 2nd. Now then, how does he go here? A little look around. Is he going to wait for those behind? Man chasing from Mongolia is Saim Bayar. He's in the light blue jersey. And Kalmuratov is in a good position here. He's getting the slipstream. Can he finish the job? And with the group of 4 chasing, doesn't guarantee him the win if he does, but he's not far away off taking the lead in this race, is Kalmuratov. And if he does make it on the back here, he will be the leader of this scratch for the moment. All ready to complete the catch, and Kalmuratov has taken a lap. Leader of the scratch race. As it stands, 40 points would be going to him. Another dig from Singapore, but the rest of the riders have got on now. So there are 5 riders who've taken a lap. Kalmuratov being one of them. He's going out again. Well, he must have some energy. He must have some gas. Stays in the wheel of the rider from Singapore. Kalmuratov, the leader, but there are also 4 other riders who have taken a lap, let's not forget. Ganshkanlu, Lee, Lau, Saimbayar and Kalmuratov have all taken a lap. Can anybody else take one back? Is there time? The laps are running out, the counter is totting up. We're less than 10 laps to go now. Kalmuratov is a man with some form this morning. Still try to press on. He's up there again, putting in another dig, being followed by Zhong, the Chinese. 5 riders in with a chance of taking 40 points and leading the Omnium. Kalmuratov is one of them, but he would need to finish ahead of the other 4 riders who took a lap as well. Ganshkanlu, Lee, Lau and Saimbayar, who were just behind him. Unless somebody else can take a lap here, and the laps are running out to do that. Time is running out with 6 to go. Don't think it's going to be possible. The rest are competing for 6th place. There is Lau. He's going to find himself in the top 5 on the leaderboard after this race. This is Zakharov at the front. And he is racing for that 6th place. Hashimoto, the champion, behind. Shin, the Korean, as well on his wheel. There is Saimbayar of Mongolia. Didn't really pull up any trees in the individual pursuit yesterday. Leung of Hong Kong in the blue and white. He's on the wheel of Ganshkanlu. Mohammad Ganshkanlu from the Islamic Republic of Iran. 3 laps to go. Still Kalmuratov towards the front of this group. He's looking to try and win the sprint amongst those ahead. And this is a man who's banking on some hesitation if he can find it. Artyom Zakharov. He's got out there and he's looking for 6th place at the moment. Kalmuratov and 4 others are the current leaders. All these riders pedaling fixed gear bikes here, no brakes. Bell goes. Final lap this. Final lap for these riders here now, 1 to go. There's going to be no lap taken by Zakharov as Leung goes out ahead. Remember, all of these riders in your picture now racing for 7th place with Zakharov up there. It's Leung who's going to take 7th. 8th will go to Hashimoto. And behind, we're going to have to wait to see exactly who has taken the win. Leung taking 7th place, we think. But who's won the race? Who has taken the lead in the Omnium? The shot we're looking for was of the first rider out of those 5 to cross the line who'd taken a lap. And it looks as though it might well be Mohammad Ganshkanlu. Ganshkanlu of Iran. Has taken it. Ganshkanlu of Iran ahead of Lau, Saimbayar, Lee and Kalmuratov. Zakharov in 6th, Leung behind with Hashimoto, Shin and Zhong making up the top 10. 2nd place for this man. That was a good ride from Lau Longsan. And a few riders not amongst the favourites allowed to get away in a bit of a breakaway. This man's an outsider. He put in a lot of work for 5th place there. But above him, the likes of Lee, Saimbaya, Lao and Ganshkanlu can't have expected to start so well. Scratch race winner is Mohammed Ganshkanlu of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he's on his way going into event 2 as the leader of the Omnium. Second place for Lao Longsan. And Jamal Jats, Saimbayar in third, with Lee fourth, Khalmuratov fifth. Zakharov and Leung, the best of the rest. This was the moment the race started. A day of action that will end up with a gold medal for somebody. And the story of the race was told by those 5 riders who went and took a lap. Khalmuratov expending a lot of energy to do it on his own. 4 riders behind working together. It's they who were the freshest come the sprint. Ganshkanlu of Iran winning it. And behind Zakharov escaping to take 6th place, with Leung of Hong Kong, China winning the bunch sprint for 7th place. So the endurance riders in the men's Omnium are off to continue their preparation for the next race. That involves cooling down from this, spending more time on the bike, on the rollers, fueling correctly, mechanical adjustments to their race bikes, and of course, any treatment they might need for aches and pains. Mohammed Ganshkanlu beating Lao Longsan, Jamaljat Sambayar, Lee Wenchao and Muradjan Khalmuratov. 1st to 5th looks like that, with 6th place taken by Zakharov, 7th place taken by Leung, Hashimoto and the rest, all probably conserving more energy from that race, but taking less points into race number 2. Shin in 9th place, Jong in 10th, Rosli of Malaysia in 11th, with Yusuf Mirza wanting a better start, I'm sure. He was in 12th. Ponar Chan in 13th place. The last finisher, Yahyaldin Khalifa of Bahrain. Women's sprint qualifying is up next. And this is a list who are going to take on the flying lap. We'll have Cho Sun-young first, then Lin Junhong, 2 very, very fast riders from Korea and China. Alina Reggie of India, Panare Pasi, Putri, Chong, Ota and Jessica Lee. These are all riders we've already seen in team sprint and Kirin. 3rd event for many of these riders. Rosidi of Malaysia, Luek John from Thailand, Deborah for India, with Farina Shawati of Malaysia, Jong again, Maida Lee and Sarah Lee, the winner of the Kirin for Hong Kong, China. And our first riders on the track. So there are 3.5 laps here. 2.5 for the riders to get up to speed. The aim of the game is to set the fastest time possible over 200 metres. Nobody's going out here. All 16 riders will qualify for the round of 16. The times, though, we'll see and sort the riders in order of fastest to slowest, and that will equal seeding in the sprint matchups. It's straight knockout in the round of 16. No best of 3 chances. So you'll want the easiest draw possible to avoid any mishaps. The fastest rider takes on the slowest rider, the second fastest, the second slowest, and so on. It is important to set a top time. The record holder at the Asian Games is Zhong Jianqi, a 10.780 for 200 metres in Incheon on the outdoor velodrome. The Asian record set at that very fast track, Aguascalientes in Mexico 5 years ago. Again, Zhong, 10.573. So the bell will ring with 1 lap to go. And it's just after a lap to go where the times are taken. That white band there where Joe's just passed. It's the 200 metre line. This track was running fast yesterday. How fast is it in terms of records? Chaw across the line, it's a 10.963. Less than 2/10 outside of the game's record. Game's record was broken twice by Chinese athletes yesterday. It ended up in the hands of a Korean, Im Chae-bin. He's remained the fastest sprinter over a couple of days. And we'll see him again in the very next event. Men's sprint semi-finals coming up after this. .957, a corrected time for Cho Sun-yong. Lin Junhong then, already a medalist, taking gold in team sprint. Her partner, the Olympic team sprint champion Zhong Chan-shi, and record holder will go out in position 13 of 16. What can Lin do though? This has to be a candidate to give us a new games record. Here we go, 200 metres, Lin. We'll get a good look over 100 metres. Oh, she's slower than Cho in the first 100 metres. Can she speed up here to the line? It's a 11.103. Oy, 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 that's slow for Lin. She won't be happy with that. Second best time out of the two we've seen. Average speed of 64.8 kilometers per hour over her 200 meters. Next up, Alina Reggie of India. It's a nice, fast-paced moving event, this. Of course, always a bit of excitement when you know the track has been running fast. How fast is it running today? Remember, it does change every day. Air pressure has a big effect. You know that there are some storms on the way over the next few days, supposedly. And the air pressure will be changing. And that normally is good for bike riders, good for records. Certainly when you're riding indoors. The change in pressure affects how you move through the air. And temperature's a big thing as well. Nice warm velodrome aids the records. So what does Reggie have against the clock? 10.957 is the top time to beat. Half a second slower over the first 100 meters. The second 100 comes to line and the slowest time so far, 1.3 seconds down. It's a 12.339 for Reggie of India. Next up, already on track, Panare Rasi of Thailand. Strength and control over those huge gears that these sprinters are pedaling. And you'll notice that each and every one of the sprinters using the height of the velodrome well. Once they get to the final lap, the higher they are, the extra kick of speed they'll have when they dive down towards the 200-meter line. Athlete representing Thailand. The bell will ring when she comes here. There we go. And she's approaching that 200-meter mark, 250. And the clock starts now. Rasi. That's the 100-meter top time, 5.416. She's almost half a second down on that. Not going to pull up any trees as far as the record's concerned. We'll be wanting the best time possible, though. It's the third out of the 4 times we've seen so far. 1.1 seconds down on the current leader, Cho Sun-yong. I think you might have guessed who's on track now. Krismonita Dwi Putri of Indonesia. Cheer from the locals. The only Indonesian athlete who's involved in these sprints for the ladies. A few nations having 2 participants. Malaysia, for example, Hong Kong, China, People's Republic, And Japan, who are generally strong in the sprints. No shortage of encouragement here for Putri. It's time for her to ramp up the speed. There goes the bell. Roared on as she hits the 200 metres line. 100 metres down, only a tenth down on the time. This is good from Putri. Very good indeed. What can she produce at the line? It's the third best time. Just under 2/10 down. Only the Korean and the Chinese quicker than her. Cho, Lin, then Putri. Before Asi and Reggie, the top 5 so far. An 11.139, and she's a good second quicker than the athlete in fourth. So that should turn out to be a decent time for Putri. I suspect she'll be somewhere in the middle of the timesheets. Come the end of play here with the 16 riders setting times. 11 more to go, including Chong Yao of Chinese Taipei. And she's really ramping up the speed. Time to beat is a 10.957 set by Cho Sun-young. Inside 2/10 away from the game's record. Oh, this is 3/10 down to the 100 metres. Needs to improve in the second 100. And it's 11.659. Nothing to really write home about from Chong. We've got some fast riders to go, though. Starting with Ryu Ota of Japan, already a medalist at these games in the team sprint. Now, some have done their job already. Ota has hers to do now. The bell means she must ramp it up even more. 200 metres from now, we will have her time. 10.957 the time to beat. Where does she stand? Is she in the ballpark? Yes, she is. She's 1/10 down on the top time. It is going to be one of the faster times. It's fourth for now. Slowed down considerably in the second 100 metres. 4/10 down. Faster than Chong, who we saw a moment ago. In fact, a good 3/10 faster. As we get on to one of the stories of these games. Jessica Lee, born in Hong Kong, moved to Glasgow in Scotland, which has called her home for now the majority of her life, since she was 10, 11 years old. It was while she was at university in Glasgow she became a rower. After that, decided she'd like to have a go at track cycling. A little too old, she was told, for the British programme, given that you have to be 17 or under to be taken on as a young talent. She's now in her mid to late 20s. Has only been riding a bike for 3 years, considered to be exceptionally talented, and after training with Team Scotland, is now riding at an elite level for the nation she was born in, Hong Kong, China. And Jessica Lee, just off the medals the other day in the Keirin, finished fourth. Here she goes, try to set the time in the flying lap. Jessica Lee against the clock. Remember, 5.416 the top time. Oh, and this is very good. It's brilliant from Jessica Lee. It could end up being the top time. How does she sit? It's a second place and only 700ths down. Absolutely rapid from Jessica Lee. 11.027. And with 8 riders already ridden, half the field gone, we've only had 1 rider go under 11 seconds. Cho Sun-young of Korea, the first athlete we had on the track. There is Jessica Lee finishing up as Anis Amira Rosidi starts. And we all know that Malaysia is home to several sprinting powerhouses. What can Rosidi offer up? Into her final lap. Rosidi to dive down and take the line. Clock has started. First 100 metres, it's relatively slow. Almost 4/10 down. Didn't look to have the speed as she came across the line. Oh dear, oh dear. That's almost a second down in 7th place. She'll have wanted much better than that. Remember, it's not the end of the road for the sprinters who don't set the top times here. But the slower you go, the quicker rider you're going to be up against in the next round. It's when the serious business starts. Next up is Watine Ruekajon, representing Thailand, a second Thai athlete to try luck here. Her compatriot Panare Rasi currently lies in 8th place. Second to last. Last position occupied by Alina Reggie of India. Top position by Cho of Korea. Really got to ramp up the speed here. 1.5 laps till the finish line. Now she's at the saddle trying to get on top of the gear. Has to hold it for 200 metres from now. Clock's moving at the bottom of your screen. Ooh, half a second down at the 100-metre mark. It's not going to be amongst the best times. It's an 11.9. It's 8th place. Ever so slightly faster than her teammate. 2/10 in fact. Here's Deborah Herold, 23 years of age, from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. As Cho looks on, having set the top time so far. Big challenges still to come though. Farina Shawati, Jong, Maida of Japan, Lee of Korea, and Sarah Lee of Hong Kong, China, the winner of the Keirin and former Olympic bronze medalist. Deborah Herold, just 23, considered one of the biggest Indian talents on the track. We know she's fast. Is she fast enough today to challenge the top riders? Remember, games record of 10.78. We've got within 2/10 of that today. 5 more riders to try after Deborah. Deborah Herold's on her way, giving her all against the clock here. 3/10 down at the 100-metre mark. It's not going to be the quickest time, but it is going to be good enough for 7th place so far. 7th out of the 11. Realistically, will have been looking for better than that. Next up, Farina Shawati Mohammed Adnan. Malaysian all ready to give her all. This is an event that will take it out of you, even though we're talking just longer than a 10-second effort. Huge amounts of muscle damage you do. This is what they lift the weights for. This is what all the training's for. Start of the Asian Games sprint battle for the women. Farina Shawati takes the bell and will take the 200-meter line. She'll be looking better than her compatriot. She looks faster on the bike already. Let's see what the timesheets say. Yes, she's within 0.3, 2.9. Here she goes for the final 100 meters. It's an 11.6. It's the 6th best time, and she bumps Chong Yao down a position below her. Farina Shawati should be there or thereabouts around the midsection of the timesheets. Zhong Jianxi is the games record holder. Zhong Jianxi is the Asian record holder, and in the team sprint she is an Olympic gold medalist. "27 years of age, from Shanghai in China. Already a gold medalist at these Asian Games in the team sprint. Her compatriot Lin Junghong has the 3rd best time with an 11.103. But somebody of Zhong's caliber will be aiming for 10.957, Cho's top time from Korea, and also 10.78, her own Asian Games record. She's moved on. She's 4 years better. This is a fast track. Cycling is 4 years better. What can Zhong give us? 200 meters to try and take the record and certainly look for the lead. Let's take a first look at the time. Oh, and it's quicker. It looks like it could be the quickest time. How's it going to be quick in relative to everything else? It's a 10.804. The fastest time for Zhong Jianxi. And she was so close to her own record. Within a couple of hundredths, in fact. Three athletes to go to try and beat that 10.840. Kayano Maeda of Japan is next. All of these athletes wanting the best seeding possible, the best draw in the next round. Japanese men have dominated sprinting at the Asian Games. 12 out of 13 victories have gone to them. The women in recent years have been looking to China. Can Japan reassert some authority here? Maeda. Clock's on your screen. It's looking good. It's looking one of the quicker times. Won't be the fastest. It's an 11.3, 6th place. The Japanese in 6th and 7th respectively. Almost identical times, both travelling at 63 k's an hour for the final 200 metres. 2 to go. Korea did have top spot with Cho Sun-young. What does Lee Hye-jin have to offer us? Shouts of encouragement. There have been a few Koreans in the crowd every day at the cycling. Quietish morning though, you could hear the words of the coach as she ramps up the speed. Only Lee Hye-jin and Sarah Lee still to go. Lee Hye-jin against the clock. It's a 10.840, the time to beat to have the quickest time. If she does that, she'll get close to the games record. Oh, and she's quicker. Lee Hye-jin is motoring on, 300ths quicker, in fact. Across the line, here she comes, it's the top time. It's a 10.815. Lee Hye-jin quicker than Zhong Jianxi. And the Koreans are flying in the velodrome. Closer and closer to that game's record, but nobody has broken it yet. And it's down to Lee Wai-Tze, Sarah Lee from Hong Kong, China. As of 2 days ago, Sarah Lee is the most decorated Asian Games athlete that Hong Kong has ever produced. Took a 4th gold medal from her 3 games. She beats the 3 that have been set by Wong Kam-po, another cyclist. The 3 that have been set too by Marco Fu, the very famous snooker player. Sarah Lee, a class act. Into her 30s now. The other day showing no signs of slowing up. Has won 5 of the last 6 Asian championships in the Keirin. Won the last 2 Asian Games. What can she do in the sprint? 10.815 is the time to beat to take the lead. 10.780 is the Games record. Let's get the first time check. Sarah Lee going quicker by a 10th. Oh, and she's on for the record here. If she can have it, she could be about to set a new record. Oh, it is 10.583. It's a new Asian Games record. And it is so close. 100th away from the Asian record. 10.573 stands for Zhong, set at altitude. Here at sea level, only 100th slower. Sarah Lee has smashed up the timesheets. She is on fire at these games and qualifies as the fastest with a new Asian Games record in the flying 200 metres. 68 kilometres per hour, her speed over 200. A 10.583 world class from Lee Wai-Tze, Sarah Lee from Kowloon, Hong Kong. We've seen Games records go from start to finish. Team sprint, team pursuit, team pursuit. Team sprint again for the men. The men's sprint too. The men's team pursuit yesterday. The individual pursuit as well. And now in the flying 200 metres for the women, a new Asian Games record has been set. The 8th of this track meet so far, and it's only the start of day 4. Lee Hye-jin would have thought she had the top time, at 10.815. We're getting closer and closer to that record. It was a great ride from the Korean. They occupy 2 of the top 4 spots, by the way. Jong Chan-shi had a good go. She finished 3rd. And she'll get a favourable draw. Remember, no prizes in terms of medals yet for anybody from this event. It's a long road. It's 2 days long as a sprint competition. Sarah Lee qualifying quickest and setting a new Games record. Qualifying considerably quicker than anyone else. 2.5 tenths quicker than Lee Hye-jin. Lee Wai-Tze, Sarah Lee at the top with that AG, Asian Games record. Alina Reggie the slowest. In the meantime, we jump from the preliminary round of sprints to the semi-finals, and we're about to see the men in action. Azizul Hasni Awang up against Im Chae-bin the man who set the men's 200-meter flying lap record yesterday. First of three, best of three. If somebody rolls over the other, potentially two. This is match sprinting over 3 laps. Fastest rider wins. Awang in the black, Im Che-bin in the white. Awang, we must say, has already had a yellow card yesterday. Ended up touching the side of the velodrome to hold himself up after a track stand. The winners of these semi-finals will race for the gold and silver medals this afternoon. The losers of these semi-finals still have a chance to be on the podium, but will race for the bronze medal. Japan, with only one representative in these semis, he'll come up next against the other Malaysian, Muhammad Shah Sahram. Japan have won 12 out of the 13 previous sprint competitions at the Asian Games. Only China have managed to stop the Japanese winning before. That was Zhonglei in 2010, but no Chinese representative here in the semis. Coming to the end of the first lap now with Awang in front, the former world keirin champion. He's a 4-time Asian sprint champion. Up against Im Che-bin, the young pretender from Korea. And it's him in the white now with a lap and a half to go, who is going to be forced to the front by Azizul Hasni Awang. He has him in his sights where he wants him. Question is, does he have the speed? Im had the turn of speed yesterday. Awang has the know-how, the previous results and the tactics. Look at this. He is motoring alongside him. Awang, can he come round in turn 4? Awang is there. Im's behind him. It's Awang to take the lead. It's 1-0. Experience over speed. And Azizul Hasni Awang looked to be first across the line. It's now sudden death as far as Im Che-bin is concerned. Well, Malaysia have only ever taken one Asian Games sprint medal in their history, which is a surprise. Awang has twice finished 4th. Wants to be guaranteed a medal this time. It was Josiah Ng in 2002 who took that medal. They've never won gold. And for a sprinting powerhouse, a big nation like them, that is a surprise. Awang tried to change history, as Tomohiro Fukaya is trying to uphold an historical tradition. Japan, he is their hope. Last time it was an all-Japanese final 4 years ago. This time, the traditionally dominant nation leaves all of its hopes at the feet of that man, Tomohiro Fukaya, with the pressure on to keep up the Japanese record of 12 wins in 13 events. Malaysia trying to get 2 riders through. Awang is halfway there. Here is compatriot Muhammad Shah Firdaus Sahram, the 22-year-old. Took silver in the team sprint on day 1. We know they're going fast. Looking to try and make the final here. Again, best of 3. 2 rounds in the sprint to go, semis and finals. 2.5 laps remain as Fukaya looks round. Slowly picking up the speed. Shah, who has served a 12-month doping ban in the last 3 or 4 years. Trains in Melbourne and is following beautifully Fukaya's lead. Twisting, turning with him all the way. Can he come around him? He's in the perfect position in the slipstream. The Malaysian sprinters have woken up on the right side of bed this morning. Can Shah come around? Fukaya's in trouble here as they go into turn 3. Holding up as much as he can. It's going to be a big race to the line. Hat off to Fukaya. And the Japanese reputation is kept intact. Mohammed Shah Sahram looked as though he's about to come round and take that. Fukaya held his speed, held his position, was not to be bullied out of the way, and goes one up in the semi-final. The Japanese have a reputation to protect in this event. Fukaya has 1 foot in the final. Remember, though, best of 3, and these gentlemen will be along again in a few minutes' time. Before then, it's time for some individual pursuit qualifying for the women. The 3-kilometre event will have 5 heats, and it's due to start in around 3 minutes' time. Track centre, a hive of activity as always. Each nation has its own area in the centre. You can see bikes, mechanics, soigneurs, coaches. And from tables full of drinks and fruit to energy bars and coffee machines. Everybody sets it up as they want, brings in their own gear. You can see the Japanese have a table to have meetings and laptops and things like that out there. And riders on the edges of all of that paraphernalia, setting up their rollers, their home trainers, where they can warm up, cool down, spin the legs and whatever. On the top left, you can see an information area for all of the teams. Coaches can go and chat to commissars, air any grievances. And coming up in just a couple of minutes' time will be the 3-kilometre individual pursuit for the women. So 5 heats, 10 riders. The fastest 2 riders will race for gold, and the 4th and 3rd riders racing for bronze. And this is who we have competing today. Chaba Devi Elangbam of India will race alongside Yung Bo Yi. Supukson Nutana against Luo Yi Wei, Thailand and Singapore represented. With Huang Tingying, a silver medalist yesterday in the Omnium, up against Nakamura of Japan. That expected to be one of the faster heats. Wang Hong of China and Renata Baimetova, 2 good solid riders. Li Yumi, the Asian record holder in Heat 5, alongside the very reliable Delia Ayustina Priyatna of Indonesia, who raced well in the Omnium and pretty combatively yesterday. First up then, representing India, Chauba Devi Elangbam. There she is in your picture. Final chat with the coach. And for Yung Bo Yi, it's a rather more serious approach for Hong Kong, China. They are one of the top nations in pursuiting. Realistically, Leung will be looking to make the medal matches. Elangbam, for the ever-improving India, always capable of causing a surprise. But this is an event where you can't hide. This is an event where it is rider against the clock. 3 kilometres still for the women, whereas the women's team pursuit has moved to 4Ks in recent years. In the interests of equality. It would be very nice if we could race over 4 kilometres as well, but that's a decision to be made by the UCI. Well, the start gate's just being put together. You just hear the timing. The official there saying, well, move that wheel that way a little, or you're going to have a false start. Hope we don't get one of those. Individual pursuit event wasn't held in Incheon 4 years ago, but this is the 7th time that it will be held in total at the Asian Games. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on the times for you. You'll have no positioning for the first individual pursuit. And then after that, once we get to the second heat, you'll see numbers where everybody's time lies in relation to everybody else's. World record is a 3 minutes 20 seconds set by the exceptional Chloe Dygert, the fastest woman in the world at the moment from the USA, set at the World Championships in Apeldoorn this year. The Asian record of 3:34, a good 14 seconds slower, set by Lee Yu-mi, Korean in Nilai, Malaysia in February. Games record of 3:37, which could go today. Zhong Fan setting it 8 years ago in Guangzhou. If the riders ride to their potential, I expect the games record to go today. There's some tired legs, though, I'm pretty sure, after a few days of competition in different events. Leung quicker. First lap out the way, and we expect Leung to be the quicker of the two athletes to the line. She should set the time that everyone else is going to look at. How quick will she be overall, though? Each country only allowed one entrant. It's been a good few days on the track for Hong Kong, China. Three laps down. We're going to get the time for the first kilometre now. Leung well ahead here of Elang Bam. The way it's going, she might well catch her. If she does, she'll be looking to pass as quickly as possible. Already 3 seconds ahead. It's a 1:17 for kilometre number 1. Has to pick it now up in the second K. Jung Bo-yi, just over halfway through her effort. Remember, 12 laps of the velodrome here, as opposed to 16 for the men. .230 going into the final kilometre. There's the pass. It's a good pass, in fact. Well done, Leung Bo-yi. She was past her quickly. Has used a slipstream well until now, but now needs to push on into her final 3 laps. This is a good time by Leung Bo-yi. Second kilometre was ridden in 1:13. How much can she keep going here? Approaching 3 minutes for her effort now. 2 laps to go. Games record might be in the balance. I have a feeling she might just be a little slower, but we will see. 3:18 as she ticks past 1.5 laps to go. Number 3:37, the game's record. She's not going to take that, but it's going to be a very strong time nonetheless. Will it be good enough to qualify for the medal matches? We'll have to find out after the course of the 5 heats. But Leung Bo Yi, as the games record ticks by, comes into the final half a lap. 3 kilometers down, and Leung Bo Yi sets a 3:47.5. It's 10 seconds outside of the games record. Is she happy with that? She'll have had a schedule she'll have been riding to. Probably will have to be slightly quicker if she's to look for the medals. Because Lee Yu-mi set a 3:34 earlier on this year on the way to the Asian Championship. It's pretty clear that Elang Bam won't be anywhere near the medal matches. She set a 4:05.2. Huge difference between the two riders. Leung Bo Yi looked very strong for a while. On to Heat 2 we go. Supukson Nutana, representing Thailand, will be wearing the yellow. She starts on this near side in the home straight. Meantime, starting over in the back straight, representing Singapore, is Luo Yiwei. And she's wearing the red and white. The Lion City. They're already looking towards the 2022 games. Singapore with a new track coach from over the border in Malaysia. Haven't been too many entrants for Singapore in cycling at these games. Perhaps before the games deciding that something needed to be done about that. It's a nation of much financial power, heavily populated area as well, and track cycling should be something that they could be very good at. What does Luo Yiwei have to offer here? She disappointed a little yesterday in the Omnium. Now she's up against the fresher Supukson Nutana of Thailand. Didn't race that Omnium yesterday. Little delay as we wait for everything to be sorted. Well, this is a hold-up that is going to hinder the riders. Looks as though a number needed replacing. Mentally, probably more difficult to cope with than physically. Just see the coach there trying to keep everybody happy. And that's nice. Final instructions for Luo to push full up to speed. You heard that. And this is where the coach could earn his corn. Keep everything calm when the delay like that happens. Cannot be easy for the athletes to cope with. Focus to be ready at a certain time. Delay over though, and we know that 3:47.570 set by Leung Bo-yi of Hong Kong is the time to beat. It's another city-state on the right, Singapore. A nation of Thailand represented on the left. Off we go. She does get up to speed. Luo fighting with the bike over the first lap. Nuntana is quicker over lap 1. And they come to the line almost identically in lap 2. Luo Yi Wei in the red and white. Supakson Nutana in that blue and yellow. And we had the first ride that was 10 seconds off the Asian Games record. Games record that stood since Guangzhou in China in 2010. And it was a great time for the Chinese riders in the velodrome. It's the Koreans who are trying to upset their dominance at these games. And Lee Ju-mi, the Asian champion, will go in heat 5. Now let's check these times as they come up to the end of the first kilometre and see where they relate. Luo, second fastest so far. That would mean Leung was quicker over the first kilometre. She was. It's a 1:18.1 from Luo. Remember, a 1:17.2 from Leung. 3-kilometre race this. Just less than 2 Ks to go. Oh, Nutana is slowing. Halfway through the effort. And already a good few seconds behind Luo. Luo though has to aim higher. You can hear a coach shouting instructions. One kilometre remaining. What is the time with 4 laps to go? Still in second place at 2:32. Now, how did her second kilometre relate? Again, it was about a second slower. Needs a considerable improvement in the third and final kilometre if she's to go faster than Leung Bo-yi. As far as Nutana of Thailand is concerned, I don't think she'll be troubling the scorers. Again, a couple of seconds slower in that last kilometre. Two laps remaining. It's a 3:11 on the board. Remember, 3:47.5 is the time that has been set. Leung Bo-yi with that, currently the fastest qualifier. And out of the 10 athletes, it's the 2 fastest who race for gold. Times 3 and 4 race for bronze. Still second place for Luo. There's still 6 riders to go after this as well. I think Leung of Hong Kong will feel better once this time ticks by and she remains in first place. And she will remain in first place. There goes the time. Luo to come across on a 3:51.7. Good enough for second place at the moment. She'll be hoping that there are a couple of disasters ahead and she can ride again for bronze later on. You would expect to see a couple of faster riders at least than Luo. And she can't expect at the moment to be riding off for bronze later on. We will see, though. Nutana sets a 3:52.8, got better towards the end as Laws tired considerably in the final kilometre. So difficult to pace your effort. 2 heats down, and there are 3 to go. Next up, 2 very talented athletes. Huang Tingying, silver in the Omnium yesterday. How tired is she? She's on the near side of your picture wearing the blue and white of Chinese Taipei. And she's riding against Kisato Nakamura of Japan. Nakamura and Japan good in team pursuiting. What does she have in the IP? A 25-year-old who set the 3rd fastest time in qualifying for the team pursuit. Part of the Asian championship winning title team earlier this year. Individually, she has to bring it now. Huang on the left, Nakamura on the right. Time to beat a 3:47.5. On the track now, we have 2 candidates to beat that time. They may well both do. Huang with the quickest start so far over the first half a lap. 250-meter time to come up now. Nakamura the quickest, Huang the second quickest. Leung already bumped into 3rd place. But remember, 3 kilometers, 12 laps. There's a long, long way to go. Neck and neck, these 2 riders. Remember, it's the 2 fastest time once everybody is done. Even if these 2 were to set the fastest 2, they'd still be wary of Wang Hong, particularly of China, of Li Yumi, of Korea as well. No guarantee here if you set the fastest time to race for the gold medal. They have to give everything in qualifying, these athletes. Huang looking quicker. And quicker by about a second. Time at the end of the first kilometre to come now. Oh, good 2 seconds difference between them over the first K. Nakamura would have to improve. But how is the pacing? A 1:14.3. Just to put it into context, the previous quickest kilometre had been a 1:17.2. So Huang is there or thereabouts. Nakamura in second place. She did a 1:16. Has Huang gone out too quickly? If she hasn't and paces this well, then the game's record will come into the equation. It's a 1:50 over the halfway mark. Remember, the game's record of 3:37. Nakamura with 2 minutes ticking by. Last lap to take the second kilometre times. Nakamura's at the game, I think, here. Certainly for the gold medal match, because you'd expect Lee to go quicker. And is unless there's a pronounced change in the final kilometre. Can Huang hold on to this effort? So second kilometre time, a 1:12. Well, it's a good, almost a second quicker than Yung Bo Yi's second K. A 1:15 for Nakamura. Hers was the 4th quickest second kilometre. Huang Tingying the quickest over kilometre 1. Huang Tingying the quickest over kilometre 2. Can she stay that way all the way to the end? The next question would be, can she go quicker than anyone else ever at the Asian Games? Chinese Taipei with 2 laps to go. 3 minutes tick by. She needs to be over in just over 30 seconds if she's to take the game's record. I'm not sure she'll be able to do that. Let's look. Number 3:47 is the top time so far. And she has Nakamura in her sights, somebody in the slipstream to chase, which will help. Nakamura's drifted, by the way, to the third best time now. Bella's gone for Huang. 3:37, that games record time that isn't going to be broken here. But I think Huang is going to set the fastest time so far. Whether it's the quickest of this qualification process, we're yet to see. It's a 3:43. 3:43 set, average speed of 48.2. Nakamura in the meantime fading quite considerably to set the third best time. And as it stands, Huang and Jung qualified for the gold medal match. Nakamura versus Luo for the bronze medal match. But there are still 4 athletes to go. Amongst them, the Asian champion and the Asian record holder. Big effort from Huang. Died a little in her final kilometre. Only a tenth quicker than Jung Bo Yi in kilometre number 3. It was the fast start that gave her their advantage. But consistently quicker than anyone else we've seen so far. And having ridden the Omnium yesterday, hat off to Huang Tingying. She should at least find herself in contention for a medal of some sort at the end of the day. Next up is Heat 4. Wang Hong of China. Final preparations made at the start gate in her bike. Chinese team, including the 21-year-old, up against Renata Baimetova of Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan didn't enter a team pursuit team. Wang Hong, her opponent, was part of the Chinese team that was beaten down. Korea Republic taking gold. China taking a medal. What does Wang Hong have in the individual discipline? She knows that 3:43.9 is the time she needs to beat. Baimetova has been aggressive in the road race, active also when it came to the Omnium yesterday. Is this her event though? Uzbekistan on the right, China on the left, bottom of your picture now in the red. 12 laps, 3 kilometres. And anybody who sets the top 2 times now is guaranteed a ride at least this afternoon. With just 2 riders to go after this. Remember, top 4 qualify for the medal matches. 3rd and 4th for bronze, 1st and 2nd for gold. Over the first lap and a half, we have Wang in the 3rd fastest time. Baimetova down in 6th. Something to work with for both athletes. For Wang, it could be promising. Let's see. She would need to gradually improve her effort, which at good pursuit pacing would not be unusual. Slowish start, giving yourself room to really attack the finale. Still in 3rd position. That means slower than Huang and Leung at this point. 3rd position would give her something quicker than a 1:16.4. She's now up to 2nd, quicker than Jung Bo Yi. Jung Bo Yi, who put in a 1:16.4. Wang with a 1:16.06, 2nd fastest first kilometre. Baimetova 1:23. I think she's out of the game, I'm afraid. And she's going to be caught already. Baimetova not going well. Wang starting to go like a train now. And this is a ride to start getting excited about for the Chinese. Still in 2nd place for the moment. It's now where she really needs to turn on the pace. She's passed by Metova. She's got that out of the way. Of course, she would have liked to enjoy the slipstream, I'm sure, for a little longer. 2 minutes of her effort have passed. 3 minutes 43.9, the top time that's set by Huang Tingying. And if Wang wants a chance of being in the final, she needs to be up there because the Asian champion and Asian record holder is still to go. She realistically needs to set the top time here. Kilometre to go. And she's in the fastest time. Wang could well be on her way to the medal match. Wang sitting at 1:11, fastest second kilometre. And the fastest time we've had so far was a good 7 seconds out of games record pace. Wang would need to really put on the power for the final few hundred metres if she's to get there. 2.5 kilometres in. And she's 3:03.8. 30 seconds to get over. Remains the quickest, the Chinese, who started out slowly and has built her ride beautifully. Needs to hold on to it, though, as she takes the bell. 250 metres to go. Baimetova down in 7th place is not going to be a factor as far as the medal's concerned. Wang is. At the moment, she's on her way to ride for gold this afternoon. Half a lap left. 3:31 is on the clock. The games record goes past. She's not going to set that, but she needs to get over quickly. If she's to do it, she does. The top time, a 3:40.9, set by Wang Hong, who is on her way to contest gold this afternoon. Baimetova with a 7th place, finishing 12 seconds down. In fact, pardon me, it's going to be worse than that. She's not over the line yet. It's going to be 4 minutes plus. It's going to be the second slowest time. And what to forget. Wang Hong with an average speed of 48.8 kilometers per hour. Qualified for the medal matches alongside Huang Tingying. They're the top 2 times so far, with 2 athletes still to go. Well, not any old athletes. Home nations, Ayustina Delia Priatna, who'll be cheered on. And the Asian champion, the Asian record holder, Li Yumi. So Wang has done her job. Will it be good enough to ride for gold? The cheer is for the Indonesian athlete, Ayustina Delia Priatna. But she has possibly the toughest job here. Must concentrate on her own ride. Mustn't think of who's on the other side of the track. Li Yumi, 25 years of age, from Korea. Already a gold medalist at these Asian Games in the team pursuit, setting a new games record. She set a brand new Asian individual pursuit record back in February. She's the Asian champion, also a bronze medalist in the TP 4 years ago. Ayustina Delia Priatna will have the support of the crowd. Does she have the ability to set one of the top 4 times and make it to the medal matches? As it stands, Wang of China the quickest. Huang would be second for Chinese Taipei to contest gold. Jung of Hong Kong in 3rd. Nakamura of Japan in 4th. That time of 3:50.6 to make it to the medal matches. A 3:40.9 is the quickest. And if you want to be in the gold medal match, so far it's a 3:43.9. That's the second fastest time set by Huang. All eyes here for the host nation on Priatna and for the rest of the world on Li, who has the second fastest start of anybody so far. The first over 1 lap. Li looks like she means business. Republic of Korea on their way to possibly becoming the top track cycling nation at these Asian Games. Plenty of golds left, but they have been flying in all disciplines so far, particularly the ones against the clock. Priatna's up in the 3rd place. We won't forget about her in her search to ride the medal matches. But all attention on Lee. Remember, her Asian record is 3 seconds faster than the Games record set 8 years ago, the last time this was held. Remember, cycling, training, the level, the kits and the bikes have moved on a lot in 8 years. She should, if she rides to her potential, be able to at least set a new Games record. How's she looking after a kilometre? It's the quickest kilometre so far. It's a 1:13. And that is a second quicker than Huang Tingying, who'd set the first quickest kilometre until then. Li Yumi, at 25, is in the prime of her career. She's chasing down Priyatna, who's holding on to 4th place as it stands. It's a nervous watch for Jung Bo Yi and Kisato Nakamura. And I think Nakamura is going to be bumped down anyway because you can't see Lee finishing out of the first 4 places. Leung will be looking on and hoping that she still manages to qualify. Now Lee is approaching the final kilometre, 5 laps to go, 2:05 on the clock. She is riding like a dream. Priyatna as well is just fast enough for Lee to stay in the slipstream a little longer, and that's going to aid the Korean rider in the white here. Comes up to 4 laps to go, 1 kilometre remaining, a 2:23 quicker than anyone else. Her second kilometre in 1:09, the only rider to go sub 1:10 for a kilometre here. Now has to hold it. And she is going to pass Priyatna at some point. If she does, she needs to move through quickly. That is unless Priyatna can find something and stay it. But look at this from Lee. Lee is motoring on here. She can see the record up in the distance. And the Korean coach waves her on. Priyatna in the meantime hanging on to 4th place. Lee coming around, and this might do for Priyatna's time herself. She'll be asked to let Lee pass, and Lee passes quickly. 1.5 laps to go, 3:06 on the clock. Remember, it's a 3:37, the Games record, but with a lap left, it's 3:15 on the clock. Her own Asian record could be up for grabs here. This is some ride from Lee Yumi. He's going to rip up all the times we've seen so far. She's on her way to the gold medal match. Can she set the new record? 3 kilometres up here, 3:34.198 is her mark. It's a brand new Asian record. Lee Yumi, the fastest Asian rider ever, over 3 kilometres in the individual pursuit. And it's reduced her teammates to tears. What a ride. History made yet again at the Jakarta Velodrome. Lee Yumi to ride for gold. And twice in a year, she has broken the Asian barrier. A 3:34.1 in Malaysia at the championships in February. And here at the Asian Games, it's a 3:33.048, 7 seconds quicker than Wang, whom she will face for the gold medal later on this afternoon. And amongst all that, Priyatna has set the 3rd best time. We will see her in the bronze medal match. Brilliant ride for the Indonesian. But all attention on Lee Yumi. The Games record goes, the Asian record goes. Jakarta, again, tumbling the numbers. And look at what it's done to the coach. I think he enjoyed that. No wonder. All of that preparation, all of that work. And Korea yet again topped the timesheets. Lee Yumi, the fastest Asian woman ever over a 3-kilometre individual pursuit. Korea are flying. Lee Yumi against Wang Hong for gold. Agustina Delia Priyatna held on beautifully by 7/10 of a second there to finish in 3rd place, and her match against Huang Tingying for bronze is going to be a brilliant one to watch this afternoon. Can Indonesia take a medal in their own velodrome? The final, though, Korea-China after 4 p.m. We aren't done yet for the morning, though. Next, I believe we're going back to the men's sprint. And we have a good block of sprinting coming up now. We have the men's semis to continue, perhaps even be ended if those who won the first heats can take the second. Certainly what the man in black will be hoping to do there. Azizul Hasni Awang. But remember, he's up against a Korean, and he's up against the man who was fastest in qualifying. But as we know, match sprinting is very different to 200-metre flying lap rowing. Haven't just got a clock to beat here. This is about tactics, about being savvy, about having experience as well as speed. Awang has a World Championship gold medal to prove that he has plenty in sprinting. OK, it was in a slightly different discipline in the bunch racing of the Kirin, but he knows what he's on about. He knows how to ride. And he sets up on the track in position 2 in the knowledge that he's already beaten Im Jae-bin over 3 laps once. Awang will have no shortage of motivation. His career's moving on. It's his 3rd Asian Games. He's twice finished 4th. He will want that Asian Games title before the end of his career. This is the time to do it. In 4 more years, you never know. That's a lot of training, a lot of motivation to remain. And of course, you have to stay healthy and as quick as you were. As time moves on, that's not easy. This is Awang's time now. Im Jae-bin in the white and blue. Azizul Hasni Awang straight behind him. A 4-time Asian sprint champion. He knows he can do it on the continent. And he wants to break that long, long line of sprint competitions without a Malaysian medal. 2002 in Busan, Korea, when Josiah Ng took the medal, the only medal they've ever had in 13 previous sprint competitions. They've never had gold. Remember, that is usually Japan's dominion. 1.5 laps to go as Im is leading this out from the front. Awang has him exactly where he wants him, but does Im have the speed? It was Im who led it out last time, Awang who came around between turns 3 and 4. Im who has a good line and a good lead, but look at Awang go! He motors along into turn 3. It's an identical race to the one we saw in the first time. Awang has it easily. 70 kilometers per hour, and the Malaysian flag flies. There will be no gold for Korea in the sprint. Im, the fastest on day 1, is beaten into the bronze medal match on day 2. We'll see both riders again, but it will be a Malaysian who will fight for gold. 2-0 to Awang. Im consoled as he's off to the bronze medal match. What an acceleration in the back straight. Awang into turn 3 is how it's gone on both occasions. As Beasley, the coach, looked on, all of those hours of work, pardon me, down in the velodrome in Melbourne where they all train. Awang knew he had it there. Look, I know where you are. I know I'm the winner. He even had time to celebrate. And the showman that he is, evident for all to see. Who's going to join him? Tomohiro Fukaya and Mohamed Shah Firdas Sahrom. 1-0 to the Japanese. Remember, Japan have the tradition in sprinting. They have a record to uphold. 13 times out of the 14 Asian Games sprint competitions could be Japanese if he wins again. They've got 12 out of the last 13. Only China have stopped them winning. Zhong Lei was there 8 years ago. He's no longer here. Tomohiro Fukaya is a new representative in the long line of Japanese sprint tradition. And of course, the country that invented the keirin has had plenty of big sprinters down the years. Best of three. So Shah Sahrom, the 22-year-old from Malaysia, has to win if he's to join his compatriot in an all-Malaysian final. If he takes this to a decider and wins that, he will guarantee Malaysia a first ever gold in this event. The party will have started if all friends would have to become enemies for an hour or so this afternoon. Fukaya in the white and black. They dovetail. They swoop down on each other. Only a lap gone here. It's cagey. There is a lot at stake. All of those early mornings. All of those heavy weights lifted in the gym. They all are done to be stronger here. Approaching the final lap, the bell goes right now. Shah at the front in all black. Fukaya has the advantage, he's going to come right past him. Only has the height to dive down. Fukaya ahead now, pulls away in the back straight. Work to be done here for Shah. He closes the gap, but I'm not sure he's closing enough. Fukaya is there, Fukaya all the way. Japan are in the final, but just. Shah was gaining again, and the Japanese sprinting tradition is upheld for now. 0.08 of a second, and Fukaya ahead of Shah Sahrom with a 2-0 victory. Makes it a Japan-Malaysia final, whereas Malaysia will face Korea for bronze. Half a wheel. Time to move on to the round of 16 for the women. We've seen the men at the semi-final stage there. The draw here has been made as Sarah Lee in the white and blue of Hong Kong looks up at her opponent from India. Alina Reggie against Sarah Lee. Lee Hye-jin takes on Panare Rasi. Zhong Chan-shi against Watine Luekajon. Cho will meet Rosidi. Jessica Lee takes on Deborah. And then in the final, an all-Japanese heat. Disappointing for that nation at this stage to lose one of their riders. Remember, not the best of three here. Lose and you are out. Lose and you go home. It's sudden death to find out who will be in the quarterfinals. Sarah Lee, having taken a brand new games record this morning in the 200 meters flying lap. She was close to the Asian record. That set at Aguascalientes 5 years ago. Only 1/10 out. Sarah Lee now 31, but seemingly back in the form of her life. She's at the front here, just watching and waiting. Alina Reggi, you imagine, will want and have to surprise Sarah Lee. She's taken up the front already. Lee, barring any incident, will be delighted about this. There goes the bell. Waits for Reggi again. And just coast past. You can see there is no big effort required here by Sarah Lee. This is far too easy. She knows she has it won already. Around she goes. There's a reason you set the fastest time. It's to have the easiest draw. Lee coasting over for that final lap. Almost like a club ride on a Sunday morning. She's through. And Alina Reggi, unfortunately for her, off back to the athletes' village. Lee into the quarterfinals for Hong Kong, China, as the fastest rider in the women's sprint. Eight heats, by the way, here in the round of 16. As we re-look at possibly the biggest no contest we've seen on the track so far in 4 days of competition. And Sarah Lee conducted herself respectfully there. Lee Hye-jin against Panare Rasi. Lee, the second fastest rider in qualification. Looks up at the tie, the second slowest. It's when we get to the end of these heats, heats 7 and 8, where you find the closest matched athletes in terms of time. Right in the middle of the sheet. Oh, Thai athlete set off. Trying to surprise Lee Hye-jin. He didn't used to be able to do this. Always had to be that the rider in position 1 had to ride the first lap at the front. 2 laps to go. It's a fast one, this. Rasi, perhaps thinking that the element of surprise was the thing that she needed against Lee. Shocked her into action. Has she ruffled enough feathers as the bell goes? 1 lap remains. Rasi still on the wheel. If Lee accelerates, then she'll have to follow. Lee does put the hammer down a little, looks around to see the damage done. And I think she knows she won't have to get out the saddle here. It's easy for Lee. And again, clever riding. And also respectful riding. Not completely destroying the opponent in front of the watching continent. And she quite clearly could have done. Lee Hye-jin saving energy well. And the element of surprise not working, but nice to see Thailand being realistic and knowing that they had to try something different. Nice to see them try it. Of course, you win any way you can. Didn't work this time. Lee survives. And survives comfortably. She's in the next round without expending too much energy. And for the top competitors, it's the aim of the game right now. Talking of top competitors, gold medalist in the team sprint on day 1, Jong Chanshi. And she's up against Watine Luekajon, again of Thailand, the 3rd slowest qualifier. Jong Chanshi, up until this morning, held the Asian Games record. 27 years of age, looks down at her opponent. Same tactic for the Thais, quick start. Let's not forget that Jong is an Olympic gold medalist in the team sprint. She is one of the very best sprinters in the world. Talking of that Asian record that was almost broken this morning in the 200 metres flying lap on the day that Christina Vögel of Germany set that world record in Aguascalientes. Zhong was less than 2/10 out of it. That was well before she became Olympic champion as well. Just an illustration of her talent. And for those of you inquiring about the health of Christina Vögel, I can tell she's out of intensive care now, which is good news. Although there remains a reserved prognosis, which I'm sure we'll hear more about. Final lap. Zhong ahead, Vekachorn behind. Zhong having to get out the saddle there, but I think she knows she can sit down again. Vekachorn out of gas, out of the running. And Zhong is the one to take it and go comfortably through to the next round. No contest so far in this round of 16. It has been fairly predictable with some of the fastest women in the world against the slowest on the continent. But as we go through the heats, as I said, we're getting closer in times. Next up will be Cho Sun-young of Korea against Anisamira Rossidi. And probably two athletes who are closer matched than their time suggested. Anisamira Rossidi had a bit of a nightmare. We know she's quicker than the time she set this morning. What does she have here? She's helped up onto the track by her coach. Given the last few bits of information that her coach feels she needs. And she's up against Cho. Standing here for Korea and standing ready. Cho in the white, Rossidi in the black. Loser goes home here, remember. Not quite yet to the part of the competition where it's the best of three. That begins at the quarter-final stage. This is the round of 16, or in cycling parlance, they use the term eighth finals. Was French still the official language of the International Cycling Union and the International Olympic Committee, and that's where the expression the eighth finals comes from. Here's Rossidi in the black. Has the height to dive down. She's being watched well by Cho, who doesn't let her anywhere near, and she's got 2 bike lengths here, Cho. She should have this. Rossidi is gaining, but not gaining enough. It's going to be Cho at a canter. Well, that was a real disappointment. Hoping for a much closer affair. Cho Sun-young, not tested. She won't be disappointed. And with that, we move on to Heat 5. Heat 5 having 2 of the best stories of the Games. Certainly in terms of how these athletes have made it to the Asian Games. Where they are in their career, their backgrounds. On the right-hand side, Deborah Herald, 23 years of age, from a crop of islands out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Further from India, than Indonesia. She's 23 and she's up against an adopted Glaswegian, Jessica Lee, who has spent most of her adult life, all of her adult life, in Glasgow. She trained to be a chef at university there, specialising in French cuisine. She left Hong Kong as a child, has gone back as an adult at 27 years of age to compete internationally on the track for them. She's only been riding a bike, the Hong Konger, for 3 years. Team Scotland up in their new velodrome in Glasgow, realising she was incredibly talented. And there she is. Lack of options for track riders over the age of 17 in the Great British Development Programme. So there came the decision to represent the land of her birth. It's going fairly well. There she is, set and ready. Hong Kong, China, with great chances of medals in this event. Sarah Lee, the fastest in qualifying to come later. By the way, no relation. Deborah Herald in front at 23 years of age. Deborah and Iso, the two Andaman and Nicobar Islanders, who are India's big talents in the sprint. Deborah trying to dive down. Jessica Lee kept at the front. Has to do work here with a lap to go. Jessica Lee with 3 bike lengths now as they go into the back strength. And I think Deborah is cooked here. Easy. Very, very easy for Jessica Lee. Again, doesn't have to expend too much energy. There was one big effort as she came through that 1 lap to go mark. Deborah seemed to be spinning away in the back straight, but not progressing. Jessica Lee is qualified. Heat 5 in favour of the athlete from Hong Kong. Next up, in the red on the right, Lin Junhong from People's Republic of China. And Chinese Taipei represented by Chong Yao. 2 riders who would have probably both been quite disappointed with their times this morning. Lin Junhong, a gold medalist earlier this week on day 1 in the team sprint, looks around at the competition. Chong behind in the white and blue. Athletes will have chosen their gears. They've trained on different ones. Will have come up with strategies for each and every match they face. They will know their opponents as well. There'll be videos floating about of how everybody rides. Numbers that have been peaked at. Wattages for peak power. And in case of your own athletes, how you produce them. But in the sprint, it's also when you produce them. Tactics are important. When to go. Both riders have to go here because the bell's ringing 1 lap. It's Lin at the front for China. Chong, who is glued to her wheel behind. This could be good. Now Chong, does she have it to come past? Can't do it into turn 3. Lin's looking good as they come out of turn 4. And I think she's got this fairly easily, she does. Chong was in the right position, just didn't have the speed to come around. And Lin Junhong moves into the quarterfinals. Chong Yao did everything right tactically. Just did not have the speed. Lin at the front all the way. And that's how it stayed to the end. Cries of Indonesia, Indonesia, as Krismonita Dwi Putri makes her way to the track. Her opponent from Malaysia, Farina Shawati. Heat 7 of 8. We're getting to those riders now who weren't separated by much from each other on the timesheets and qualification earlier this morning. An hour and a half ago. The Indonesian wearing red, white and grey. The Malaysian all decked out in black. Winner goes through, loser goes home. No wonder they're staring at each other. It's the legs, not the eyes, that have to do the talking. The crowd can help, but they can't do the job for Putri. The next 3 laps will tell us if she stays or if she goes. We have some big names already through to the quarterfinals. And the winner of this will face one of them in the next round. So how's it going to go? First lap out the way. No difference. A lot of looking, a lot of waiting. Farina Shawati up on high on the track, waiting to pounce. 1.5 laps remain now. Oh, and she's pounced early. Over a lap to go. Farina Shawati trying to surprise Putri. They're full gas with a full lap to go. Putri now has to have a second kick if she's to come around. Farina Shawati trying to get in the way, but here comes the Indonesian. Turn 3, turn 4. Putri's ahead and she's got it. Indonesia with a representative in the quarterfinals. Farina Shawati must have known she wasn't quick enough. She went very early indeed. But the element of surprise not working. Putri reacting onto the wheel, around the wheel, across the line, and with that big green Q next to her name. That means we'll see her again this afternoon. Brilliant race, well ridden. Malaysia have 2 athletes to contest finals in the men's competition. I'm afraid their women in the sprints have not pulled it off today. They have been mightily disappointing. Farina Shawati off to watch the rest of the racing on the telly. Japan. They'll be disappointed to lose 1 athlete at this stage. This is Kayano Maeda. looking to knock her out. Ryu Ota. And this is a strange situation. They'll train doing this a lot, but now they're rivals for real. Who knows what the dynamics in the team are? They might be the best of buddies. They might even share a room. But for the next 3 laps, they have to act as if they're the biggest of enemies. I'm pretty sure that whoever goes through the other will be cheering on. And without wishing to guess too much as to the state of personal relationships, generally teammates will be together. Here they're in the unfortunate position of one having to put the other out. We talked about the Japanese sprinting prowess and tradition at these games. They will be expected to challenge. Not as quick as the quickest in the world in qualifying, though. The race is on with a lap to go. It's Maida at the front now, but Ota is going to come around, or at least try to do. She's at the front and hits the front in turn 3. She's a little further to go, being higher on the track, when she's going to do it. Ryu Ota makes it through to the next round. It's Maida who's forced to go off and watch it from team camp. And Ryu makes it through to the afternoon session. Ota by a quarter of a second. And Heat 8 is done and dusted. We have our quarter-final lineup in the women's sprint. And that will leave us with just one race to complete this morning. This afternoon we will see this lot. Sarah Lee, Lee Hye-jin, Jong Chan-shi and Cho Sun-yong against Jessica Lee, Lin Jung-hong, Krismonita Putri and Ryu Ota. Ryu Ota to take on Sarah Lee, the fastest sprinter in the women's division at the moment. This is the final race of the morning. It's chapter 2 of 4 of the men's Omnium. And it's the new addition to the event that we've seen for the last 18 months to 2 years. One that we're still getting used to. One that is testing for the riders and difficult to follow. Tempo race. And this is the lineup. Omnium standings with Gansh Khanlu in the lead by 2 points. Lao down in second place on 38. Saim Bayar, Lee and Khalmuratov. Zakharov with 30 points. Defending champion only on 26. So who'll be wanting to score better here in the tempo race? Shin Dong-yin all the way down to Manjit Singh and Tariq Al-Moaki with 12 and 10 respectively. Bahrain in last place with just the 6 points. So the tempo race for the first 5 laps has no points. After that, for the next 36 laps, we have a point per the rider to cross the line first. It's about keeping the tempo and being at the front as they cross the line every time. 36 points available from the sprints, 20 points for taking a lap, minus 20 points for losing a lap. We must stress that the points aren't added or taken from your total in the Omnium yet, because it is 40 points for the winner of the race, just as we had in the scratch, 38 for second, 36 for third, etc., all the way down. It's in the points race proper at the end, where you have points in that race added or subtracted from totals. There's Li Wen-chao in the top 5 already, and a bit of surprise in the scratch earlier on. all the fun was started by this man, the veteran, Khalmutarov, who went out and had a go. And Omnium held for the second time at the Asian Games. Four events. Closest thing we have to a stage race on the track. Now only held on one day. A representative from the trilingual Macau, China. And the Iranian star who leads. Ganj Khanlu up against Saimbayar of Mongolia, who raced brilliantly too in the scratch. Remember, it was a group of 5 who got away, with the rest chasing on. The best of the rest was this man, Artyom Zakharov, bronze in the individual pursuit yesterday, the man from Petropavl in Kazakhstan, the only Asian athlete to have taken a top 10 in the Omnium in an Olympic Games when he was 10th in Rio de Janeiro 2 years ago. Shin Nong-in, the representative of Korea. And here we go. So riders will start once they come back towards the start line, provided there's no mishaps. The gun will go and we will have the first of our 40 laps. Nothing to happen for the first 5 laps, and then the sprint start after that. It's fast and furious. It is 1 point per lap. Winner of the race and the person who takes the 40 points in the Omnium overall standings, the general classification, is the rider who wins the race. There goes the gun and the start of the race. 40 laps to go, 10 kilometres. It's fast-moving, fast-paced. Omnium for our final dish of the morning. And the first attack comes from Yusuf Mirza. Remember, 20 points for taking a lap. It's early to start this. Hashimoto wants to follow. He knows that Mirza was second at the Asian Championships to him earlier on this year. Remember, you could take the 20 points for the lap early on. I think if you want to take a lap, you want to do it while the points are in play for the laps as well, because on the way to taking a lap, you can pick up the 1 point for being at the front. That is the way to win this race. Remember, it's not just about winning though. 3rd, 4th, anything in the top 5 is going to give you plus 30 points in the Omnium standings. It's about being consistent, regular, combative throughout the day, and you'll be up there for the medals at the end of it. 36 laps to go. The bell in a moment will ring. There we go. Sprint coming up next time through. It's Hashimoto, the defending Asian Games champion, who's on the attack. He'll feel he has to have a good result in this race after finishing outside the top 7 in the scratch. It's 1 point for him. He leads the race. He's being chased down by Ganj Khanlu, who's obviously strong this morning from Iran. And if these two can work together, it'll be good news for them both. It's Hashimoto who takes the 2nd point. He leads 2 points to 0. Ganj Khanlu now to come through and take a turn. You imagine that he will be allowed to take the point here, and they'll be working on lap turns. It's not in Hashimoto's interest to upset Ganj Khanlu just yet, and it's Ganj Khanlu who allows Hashimoto to come through. They have to work together to try and force an advantage, and they have to hope that there's some hesitation behind. Hashimoto, the early leader, he's about to take his 3rd point now, and it will be Ganj Khanlu as they change to come and work at the front. Shin Nong-in is off in pursuit. Remember, the riders behind will be worried about these two potentially taking a lap. Ganj Khanlu is going to come out behind. I'm not sure they'll be allowed to get anywhere near taking a lap though, and I think they might sit up here. Ganj Khanlu on the back of this group as Hashimoto continues. Shin is behind him. Hashimoto on 3 points. Now, is there going to be a sprint for the line? Not yet. Hashimoto to pick up his 4th point. Only he and Ganj Khanlu have scored so far. That's about to change though, because here comes the Indonesian, Wahyudi. It's Wahyudi at the front, but it's Zakharov coming through. No, points for Hong Kong. Lien Chun-wing taking the sprint. And he's on his way, tries to continue with the attack. So 1 point for him. It should be a second point for him as well. This race is becoming very active indeed. Another point as he crosses the line. Hashimoto on 4, Ganshkanlo on 2, Leung on 2. It's the champion who's the leader. And Leung has kept this one out. And Zakharov hasn't been able to catch on and work with him. I think Leung will have been waiting for him. There he goes. Leung on to 3 points. And he'll be happy to let Zakharov come through and do a turn. In exchange for that, Zakharov will get himself on the scoreboard. A point for him. Zakharov moves up into 4th place in this race. Hashimoto still the leader. Leung in 2nd place. Leung about to go tied at the top, I think, if he can come through and take the point here. Leung level on 4 points in this tempo race. 25 laps to go. Told you it was moving quick. We're almost halfway through it now. Zakharov, the 26-year-old from Kazakhstan. Oh, it's the veteran who's animating the race again. Behind Khalmuratov to attack for Uzbekistan, as Zakharov takes his 2nd point. Khalmuratov feeling like $1 million so far today. There's confirmation of the standings after sprint 12. Leung and Hashimoto tied at the top. 2 points each for Ganshkanlu and Zakharov. No one else has scored yet. It's a 3rd point now for Leung. He's into the lead on 5. Group of 2 looked like it was going to be 3. This race is splitting up all over the place. Now the Bahraini is out there with them. Finished bottom. Another point for Zakharov, who will now move up into 3rd. 5 points for Leung Chun-wing. Leung Chun-wing, 24, bronze in the road race in Incheon. Former national road race and time trial champion, but he's looking at trying his luck on the track with 22 laps to go. He moves on to 6 points. Hashimoto, the defending Asian Games champion, now decides that this move is dangerous enough that he has to join it. Nobody has gained or lost a lap yet as the Chinese goes on the attack. Zhong Jihui. One of those riders yet to score. Only 5 riders, pardon me, have got points now. Zhong takes his 1st point, moves into 5th. Ganshkanlu is on 2. 20 laps to go. This is the front of the race. This is the pot of the race that we need to follow. Khalifa and Al-Muaki lose a lap. There's 20 points gone. Ooh. Now that's controversial from Zhong. Not really in the interest of working together, attacking your mate on the line there. Perhaps he knew that the group was coming back from behind. That means he has a 3rd point though, and he's up to 3rd. There are points, or a point, pardon me, for Shin. That's his 1st point of the race. Here comes Leung, who's racing well here, but Hashimoto, who hasn't scored for a while, moves up on the outside. Another point will go to Leung, however. He moves on to 7. Hashimoto still in 2nd place on 4. This is Khalmuratov at the front. Khalmuratov sprinting to the line. Hashimoto getting there, I think, and just taking it. So he's reduced the deficit. Not too much collaboration in this group now. Hashimoto in 2nd on 5. Leung still leading in 7. This is Zhong now at the front as Shin tries to come around him. Zhong will take the point though. And Zhong consolidates his position in 3rd. These are the standings. Zhong though, from that graphic, having moved on to 4 points. And all of these riders look like they may be about to take 20 points on the rest. Zakharov and Hashimoto going for that one. Wait to see who took it. If Hashimoto did manage to take it, he's within 1 point of Leung. Hashimoto is at the front here and does take that point. 13 laps to go. Well, it was Zakharov taking the 1st sprint. He's on 4 now. Hashimoto is on 6. Make that 7. tied at the front of the race now with Yun Chun Wing. And they're all going to take 20 points here for a lap. So lots of work for the scorers to do with just over 10 laps to go. Also working out who took that point there. It looked as though they're all together. Yep, they were counted as the group together. So Lao Long San at the front of the next group, once they joined just before the line, took the sprint. Kalmuratov then at the group. Oh, and there were riders out the back who are tired out. Here is Leung. Leung at the front, and he's going to take the point. Extends his lead. Now Shin. Sprint 28 going to Sain Bayar. Sprint 29 going to Leung. 9 laps remain. There is Hashimoto. Almoratov at the front. 27 points to Leung. 26 to Hashimoto. 24 to Zhong. 24 to Zakharov as well. Now who's going to take this next sprint? Be good to look at the line if we can. Well, evidently we can't, but I presume that it's Kalmuratov. That would move him up into 6th place as we watch Hashimoto. Now Leung again. Looks the favourite here to take the 40 points for the win. There's confirmation of all those riders who gained a lap, 6 of them in that group. It was way back now, as Leung has moved on to 28 points. Hashimoto still on 26. 6 laps to go. It's Kalmuratov who's going to take a point, and that won't worry Leung too much. Kalmuratov on 22 now. Leung himself on to 28. Hashimoto being followed by Leung here on 27. Leung it is, I think, who's going to go and take the point again. This is looking very, very good for Yun Chun Wing, who leads this race by 3. 4 laps remain. 4 points still up for grabs. Nobody's going to take a lap at this stage. Certainly not from the front of the race. There'll be riders losing out the back, and we've seen several examples of that already. Kalmuratov here, which won't worry Leung. He finds himself further down at the back of the group. Now, who's going to take this point? A lot of looking around. It looks to be the rider from Indonesia who takes it. Yun Chun Wing in the meantime at the front. 2 laps to go. Hashimoto. He'll come through and take this point. And it's going to be between him and Yun Chun Wing. Well, the bell will go for a couple of riders up the front. The bell will go here for Zakharov and company. I think Yun Chun Wing is the man who's going to have this race won. He knows at the back he's done it as the final lap approaches. In the meantime, it is for points here at the front. Places, of course, separate those level on points. And the winner of the tempo race looks to be Yun Chun Wing. Rider from Hong Kong, China, out in front. Zhong Zhuzhui has put in a great position and a great race. I think he's going to finish up on 3rd position. But the winner is Yun Chun Wing of Hong Kong, China. So he'll take 40 points to go into the next round. A very, very good start to the day for Yun Chun Wing. Hashimoto bouncing back there with 38 points as well. Should have finished 2nd by my calculation. And I think Zhong Zhihui has finished 3rd. This is how things started. And they ended with Yun Chun Wing of Hong Kong, China, winning the tempo race. Took it by the scruff of the neck, was the most aggressive. and has his reward with 40 points to add to his total and to take into the afternoon as one of the main men in the Omnium. Also up there from Kazakhstan, Artyom Zakharov, who's had a decent start to the day. That was Hashimoto. Would have been disappointed with his performance in the scratch. Of course, on his main rivals did okay, but with those out in the break in front of him getting big points, knew that he was starting from behind. I think he knows he's still one of the strongest in the event, though. And with 2 events still to go, will not be worried about his title defence at all. He knows there's competition, though, certainly from the man behind him there, Leung Chun-Wing. Tempo race won by that man. And Hong Kong, China in the mix as we go into the afternoon Omnium final 2 events. Hashimoto finishing second to pick up 38, and Zhong taking 36 in third. 34 went to Zakharov, 32 points to Shin Dong-in, and 30 points again to Murajan Kalmuratov, whose lap helped him up there. So at the break time, lunchtime, we've had plenty of options of victory still out on the table in the men's Omnium. We've had a records tumble in the other events, drama in the sprints, and we have a couple of finals already set up for you this afternoon in individual pursuit and men's sprint, with Omnium still to be decided. 3 medals in this afternoon session. Track centre will stay busy as the riders prepare for more action. So Yansh Kanlu started the day winning the first event in the scratch, finishing down in 9th place in the second event, so he's certainly still in with a shout. He'll need a good elimination to set up the points race, as will Hashimoto and company. The defending champion knows he has work to do. So that's it for the morning from the velodrome. We'll see you this afternoon for more, with the medals to be given out. Until then, it's goodbye.
มาถึงแล้วนะครับเดือนสิงหาคมนี้คุณห้ามไปไหนนะครับใช้ชีวิตแบบมีความสุขแบบกองเชียร์นั่นเอเชียนเกมนะครับเปิดแบบยิ่งใหญ่มากนะครับแล้วก็เวิร์กพอยต์เนี่ยนะครับถ่ายทอดด้วยนะครับไทยเชียร์ไทยทัพนักกีฬาไทยของเราต้องได้เหรียญทองเยอะที่สุด
เอเชียนเกม 2018 เริ่ม 14 สิงหาคมนี้ถ่ายทอดสดทางช่อง Workpoint
เห็นเพื่อนๆเขาไปเล่นกันเราไม่อยากไปเล่นแบบเพื่อนเขาหรอ
ไม่อยากช่วยแม่ทำงานดีกว่าเพราะว่าเราเห็นแบบเหงื่อแม่เห็นแม่กลับมาแล้วนอนเหนื่อยแบบไม่คุยแม่แล้วก็รู้สึกเลยว่าท่านเหนื่อยมากกว่าเราอยากให้แม่สบายแล้วก็อยากให้พี่ชายแบบหายสนิทเลยค่ะพี่จะได้ไม่ต้องทรมานเหมือนว่าแสบตาแล้วก็แม่จะได้ไม่ต้องทรมานเพราะว่าแม่ท่านก็แก่แล้วก็ต้องมาทำงานหนักๆเพื่อเราเอง
อาทิตย์ร้อยล้านรอยยิ้มนักสู้เสาร์ที่ 1 กันยายน 9 โมงเช้าห้ามพลาด
ถ้าคุณชอบภูเขา เราขอท้า
คำถามครับไหวนะฮะเหมือนคุณกำลังขี่มอเตอร์ไซค์เลยครับ
มาหาไปด้วยกัน
ติดอันดับ1 ใน 10ของไทยหมดแล้วครับ
เห็นเขา
เหมือนเห็นเขาอยู่
เห็นเขาไม่ได้เห็นเรา
แฟนพันธุ์แท้คนรักภูเขาถูกต้องแล้วครับสุดนี้สนุกแน่นอนเมื่อดาราสาวสุดเซ็กซี่มาปะทะหนุ่มอารมณ์ดีมากกวน
แตงโมฟังป่าพ่อนะครับมึงใจเย็นๆ
โอ้ยปิดไฟ
ครัวจะแตกหรือไม่พบกันเสาร์ที่ 1 กันยายนบ่ายโมงครึ่งทางช่อง Workpoint
โอเคฮะยังไม่ร้อนแตงโมต้องรอให้ร้อนก่อนเฮ้ยบอกว่าอย่าพึ่งใส่มันก็ดื้ออย่างเงี้ยมันถึงไม่เจริญไงโอ้โห
ใกล้เข้ามาทุกทีแล้วนะครับกับมหกรรมกีฬาที่ยิ่งใหญ่ที่สุดในเอเชียกับเอเชียนเกมครั้งที่ 18 ครับคนไทยทุกคนอย่าลืมส่งกำลังใจไปเชียร์ทัพนักกีฬาไทยด้วยนะครับสำหรับเอเชียนเกมครั้งนี้ครับจะเกิดขึ้นที่กรุงจาการ์ตานะครับที่ปาเลมบังประเทศอินโดนีเซียครับชมการแข่งขันถ่ายทอดสดที่ช่อง Workpoint นะครับไทยเชียร์ไทย
เอเชียนเกม 2018 เริ่ม 14 สิงหาคมนี้ถ่ายทอดสดทางช่อง Workpoint
ไม้ทองคำเด็กสัปดาห์นี้เตรียมหาจนท้องแข็งกับการมาของพวกเขาเหล่านี้
น้องเจลลี่เหรอลูก
ใช่ค่ะ
อุ้ยทำไมน่ารักอย่างเงี้ยสวยๆอย่างงี้มีหนุ่มๆมาจีบหรือเปล่ามีแฟนหรือยังจ๊ะ
มีแล้วค่ะชีตุนกับไอ้เชนแต่ว่ามีใครมาจีบเยอะเลยค่ะแต่หนูชอบแค่2 คนตุนกับไอ้เชนเพราะว่าหนูไม่อยากหลายใจค่ะ
น้องนนท์
ครับ
น้องนนท์หิ้วอะไรมาลูก
ขนมเทียนแก้วทำเองครับแม่ทำให้ครับ
เอามาทำอะไรอะลูก
เอาไม่ให้กรรมการน้ำลายไหลเล่นๆครับ
อยากไปประกวดร้องเพลงอยากไปประกวดมากเลยเหรอน้องก็ร้องให้เพราะๆสิลูก
ครับแล้ววันนี้ฝันของเขาพวกเราพร้อมจะเติมเต็มให้เสียงปรบมือต้อนรับน้องเจ้านะ
กับเสียงร้องแสนไพเราะที่ทำเอาผู้ใหญ่อย่างเราต้องทึ่งเสาร์อาทิตย์นี้ 20:05 นาทีอย่าสายนะจ๊ะ
ไม่ได้ลูกกดแค่นี้ไม่ได้จะไม่ได้สักผ่านเลยต้องกด
ทำไมพ่อ
แม่เอาก็ได้ค่ะ คุณป้าสุนารี
เรามีมหกรรมกีฬานะครับระดับเอเชียเลยก็คือเอเชียนเกมครั้งที่ 18 นะครับที่จัดขึ้นที่ประเทศอินโดนีเซียนะครับอย่าลืมส่งกำลังใจครับไทยเชียร์ไทยครับเชียร์ทัพนักกีฬาไทยของเรานะครับในทุกๆประเภทเลยและที่สำคัญนะครับคุณสามารถรับชมการถ่ายทอดสดได้ครับกฎหมายเลข 23 ช่อง Workpoint นอกจากนั้นยังไม่พอนะครับทุกๆช่องทาง
รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพ เปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจ สู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ